best.
It's been more than a decade since she disappeared, but her family in Indiana is not giving up hope for closure. Niqui McCown was last seen 14 years ago today, leaving a laundromat in Richmond. She was a 28-year-old mother about to be married. A few months later, investigators found her vehicle in Dayton. A former Trotwood police officer was named as a person of interest but killed himself as investigators tried to arrest him on a murder warrant in a separate case. Robert Lowry now was at tonight's vigil and updates us on the family's fight for answers.
Well, this year has been especially hard. In just a few short months, Niqui's only daughter will be giving birth to her own child, which would have been Niqui's first grandchild. Tonight, the family is just hoping someone out there knows where she is.
This would have been Niqui's first, and she would have been a young grandmother too.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Here it's Lavender here, and today I am doing another true crime case. Today I am doing the true crime case, the sudden disappearance of Niqui McCown. Hopefully I'm saying that right, after doing laundry story. So let's get into this true crime case story. So here we go. So if you like this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. So let's get started into this video. So this case has been featured in a number of media and TV shows and episodes and TV shows. It's been featured in Investigation Discoveries, Disappeared Show. It was also featured on YouTube's True Crime Daily YouTube channel. So here's a little background of the victim, Niqui. So Niqui was a young woman who was about to get married, and in the early 2000s, Niqui and her fiance Robert, aka Bobby Webster, were 3 weeks away from getting married, officially married. Niqui and Bobby had dated in high school and went their separate ways, and eventually rekindled in 1998. When Bobby moved back from California, she was 28 years old and lived in Richmond, Indiana when she went missing at the time. She was from a loving family and had 9 siblings in total. She had a daughter when she was 19 years old and named her daughter Peyton. Niqui worked at the Montgomery Education and Pre-Release Center in Dayton, Ohio. She started there in 1994 and started as a guard and worked up to become the head accountant. Her mother described her as giving everything she got to her job and loving her job. She was also a criminal justice courses and wanted to eventually do something in law enforcement. So here is the background of her sudden disappearance, true crime case story, events leading up to her disappearance. So on Sunday, July 22nd, 2001, just 3 weeks away before their wedding, she arrived at her mother's house upset. She had told her mother about an incident involving 2 men who harassed her at the laundromat and wouldn't leave her alone. She was afraid to go back, but eventually got the courage to go back and get her laundry, and she eventually left her mother's house to retrieve the laundry at the laundromat. She vanished that day and has not been seen or heard from since that day. The police could not find any signs of foul play or a motive behind her to vanish out of nowhere. I think that honestly she was murdered, because everything leads, me to believe she was murdered. If someone is literally regular at the job, because this is the thing, is that they went to her job. They're like, did she ever show up to work? And she didn't, but she's not the type of person to ever just not show up to work. So that's how I'm pretty sure that she got murdered. So yeah. After attending church, police said she set out to do laundry while Bobby met with his best man at a local tuxedo shop for their wedding. They planned to get together sometime later that afternoon, but Niqui never showed up. She had always been a perfectionist, said her mother. After Niqui's disappearance, her family and the police looked into several theories about what may have caused her disappearance and why. They first suspected that she may have been abducted by the men at the laundromat. Bobby also came under suspicion after he began acting strangely to the family in the weeks after her disappearance. Instead of postponing their wedding, he canceled it entirely. The day after her disappearance, he called the community college to ask for her unused tuition back. He allegedly became upset upon hearing that it was being paid for by her employer. He also wanted to give his wedding ring back, but the manager would not allow it because Niqui had paid for it. He claims he did this because he needed the money to search for her and purchase a cell phone, and he thought that, after they found Niqui, then they can, go back to what they were doing, but the most important thing was Niqui. That's what he said. So investigators asked him to take a polygraph test, and he did. Months after Niqui's disappearance, her car was found in an apartment complex parking lot in Dayton, Ohio. This is over 45 minutes away from her home in Richmond. Police found a pop-out door lock, an ignition that had been tampered with, and a missing stereo system. Her laundry that she did was still found inside the car. No fingerprints were found in or around the car, which is suspicious because usually in a car there would be fingerprints and DNA and forensic evidence, but there was none. So someone could have wiped down the car. Interestingly, her ex-boyfriend lived in another part of the apartment complex where it was found. However, he had an alibi for the entire afternoon of her disappearance. He is not believed to have any connection to it. Police did learn that Niqui made a phone call to Dayton asking a co-worker about hair and makeup products for her wedding. The co-worker said that she could purchase them from a store in Dayton. The co-worker lived about a mile from the apartment complex. It is believed that Niqui may have driven there. Some suggested that the person responsible for her disappearance may have driven her car there to take the attention away from themselves. The two men who allegedly harassed Niqui at the laundromat were also considered possible suspects of her disappearance. However, they were never identified or located. Her laundry was found safely in the car, suggesting that she had safely left the laundromat without incident. Following Niqui's disappearance, police identified her former co-worker, Tommy Swint, as a suspect in her disappearance case. He later became a police officer but was forced to resign after he failed to inform them that he was a suspect in her disappearance and all his crimes that he had. He filed a lawsuit against the police department claiming he was never told that he was a suspect in the case and he deserved his job back. However, it was dismissed when the police department brought proof that he was informed that he was a suspect in her disappearance. In November 2007, as a result of media coverage about the lawsuit, an informant contacted the police about, murder information. The informant told them to investigate Swint as a possible suspect in the murder of a 33-year-old Tina Ivory, hope I'm saying that right. She was a prostitute from Dayton who was murdered on December 17, 1991. When police interviewed a former girlfriend of Swint, she stated that he had previously dated Tina. She also said that a blanket Tina was found in, wrapped in, was similar to one that he had carried around in his car. Her nephew later told police that he remembered seeing a blood trail from her basement window to Swint's car. In 2008, Niqui's sister publicly revealed that she was having a relationship with Swint. He was a Trotwood, Ohio police officer, a former corrections officer, and a security guard. They had met while working in the same corrections facility. On that day of her disappearance, she tried to contact her sister multiple times. Her sister believes that she was trying to talk to her about the affair. Swint had been considered a suspect early on in the case, since shortly after she vanished. Her car was found at the apartment complex where he lived, and in May 2008, DNA from semen and blood found on Tina was matched to Swint, and he was the prime suspect and had all the proof that he did the crime and murdered that woman. A fingerprint on tape wrapped around her body was also matched to him. On February 3rd, 2010, he was indicted for a murder. However, that same day, he committed suicide with a gun in his Alabama home as police are closing in. Police consider him the prime suspect in Niqui's disappearance and possible murder. They also consider him a suspect in other murders around the city and around the area. However, since he is now dead, no charges can be filed against him because he is dead and they don't have any proof besides, that stuff. So if you're going to ask me what happened to Niqui, I personally think she was murdered by the former police officer that got fired. So yeah, if you guys like this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Bye guys, see you next video.